A sharp political exchange is unfolding at the highest levels of leadership in Kenya. Questions are now being raised about power, rights, and the role of the state security. Opposition leader Kalonzo has challenged President William Ruto to order the immediate withdrawal of police officers from the hospital room of former Cabinet Secretary Tuju. The demand comes as Tuju remains under police watch at the the Nairobi hospital, even as he seeks court intervention over his treatment and presence of security officers at his bedside. The exchange marks a significant escalation in an already sensitive situation involving a senior political figure, state authorities, and the justice system. At the center of the matter is Tuju, a seasoned politician and former cabinet secretary who was expected to appear in court to face charges related to providing false information to a public officer. However, events took a sudden turn when Tuju was taken to a hospital for treatment after reportedly sustaining injuries while in police custody at Karen police station. He is now admitted at a private facility in Nairobi, where his legal team says he requires medical attention, but even in a hospital, Tuju is not alone. Police officers remain stationed near his hospital bed, and that presence has now become a major point of political and legal contention. Through his lawyers, Tuju has moved to the High Court under a certificate of urgency and is now asking the court to restrain state agencies from maintaining a police presence at his bedside. The application names the Inspector General of Police, the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. His legal team argues that the continued presence of police in a hospital setting raises serious concerns about his rights, dignity, and access to medical care. The court process is now underway, and the matter has drawn national attention. It is within this context that Kalonzo has entered the conversation, and in a public message shared on social media, the Wiper Patriotic Front leader directly addressed President William Ruto. He called on the president to demonstrate what he described as genuine friendship towards Tuju by ensuring that police officers are removed from the hospital room. Kalonzo's remarks came shortly after President Ruto had spoken publicly about Tuju's situation during an address in Nyanza. And in his remarks, the president suggested that Tuju had been misled by individuals within the opposition. He indicated that Tuju needed honest friends and advice and guidance, and that some political actors were using a situation for their own visibility.
He doesn't need scavengers who are trying to scavenge about the misfortune of a citizen. Wale watu wanatafuta maarufu kwa shida ya Mkenya mwenzao. We want Tuju apatiwe advice so that he can be helped, mali yake iokolewe na yeye asonge mbele. Lakini hahitaji wale matapeli wakora wanaenda kumsumbua mtu.
That statement has now triggered a direct response from Kalonzo. The opposition leader has linked the issue not only for political rhetoric, but also to broader concerns about rights and state conduct. The situation highlights a growing tension between the government and sections of opposition. It also brings into focus the delicate balance between law enforcement and individual rights, especially when a suspect is receiving medical care. Legal experts now note that while the state has a duty to enforce the law, it must also uphold constitutional protections, including the right to dignity and access to health care. The presence of police in a hospital environment is not uncommon in cases involving suspects in custody. However, the manner and extent of that presence can raise questions, particularly when the individual is under medical treatment. In Tuju's case, the issue is further complicated by his political background and public profile. And as a former cabinet secretary, Tuju has held senior positions in the government and has been involved in key political developments over the years. His current legal battles and troubles therefore carry both legal and political weight. The unfolding situation has also attracted attention from other opposition figures, some of whom have revisited him in hospital. Their visits signal a show of solidarity, but also reinforce the political dimension of the case. In his address, Kalonzo Musyoka said, "Together with Eugene Wamalwa, Advocate Ndegwa Njiru, and others, we visited Honorable Raphael Tuju at Karen Hospital. He is in critical condition, undergoing scans to assess spinal damage, injuries inflicted when police officers forcibly bundled him into the Subaru, and disturbingly, Honorable Tuju remains under police watch even as he receives treatment. We thank the Karen Hospital team for their exemplary care, and we stand firmly with the Honorable Tuju until his full recovery." William Ruto, "You called us scavengers. If Tuju is truly your friend, prove it. Stop the daylight land grab. Respect the rights and order the immediate withdrawal of police from his hospital room." Meanwhile, the court is expected to determine whether the application filed by Tuju meets the threshold for urgent intervention. The decision could have immediate implications for how the situation is handled going forward. Beyond the courtroom, the issue is resonating with the public, and questions are being asked about the treatment of individuals in custody, especially when they are unwell. There is also a growing interest in how political leaders are framing the situation. For some observers, the exchange between Kalonzo Musyoka and President William Ruto reflects deeper political divisions. It underscores how the individual cases can quickly become focal points for broader debates about governance and accountability. And at the same time, the matter remains grounded in specific legal proceedings, and Tuju was scheduled to take a plea before the magistrate's court on charges related to providing false information. That process has now been interpreted by his hospitalization and subsequent legal applications. The timing of these developments has added urgency to the situation. It also places additional responsibility on the courts to ensure that due process is followed. As events continue to unfold, attention will remain on the three key areas: the medical condition of Raphael Tuju, the legal process surrounding his case, and the response of the state authorities to the concerns being raised. Each of these elements carries its own weight, and together they form a complex and evolving story that sits at the intersection of law, politics, and public interest. For now, Tuju remains in hospital. His legal team continues to pursue a relief through the courts, and political leaders continue to engage in a public exchange that reflects the high stakes involved. The coming days are likely to bring further clarity, but they may also bring new questions about rights and about responsibility, and about the role of leadership in moments of national attention. As the legal process moves forward and the political debate continues, the focus now turns to whether the balance between justice, rights, and authority will be maintained. That is all for today from Kenya Lens Media. Kindly, if you are new here, consider subscribing.